the show more interesting if we have a medical condition on the show.
Yeah. Why would the show not be infringed? Don't you fucking understand, Squib? It means don't fuck with it, no matter what it is.
Welcome from behind enemy lines to Rick's Life as I see it. Meant to be shooting with disabilities, but I think it's starting off differently.
Somebody get an AED.
About guns, politics, or anything else that crosses my mind. Also, answer any questions from the audience, either in chat or email at Rick's Life as I see it at gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. Also, if you can't stay for the full hour, the audio file will be on Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes normally within 24 hours. Check out my spreadshirt thing. Just type in Spotted Rick or Rick's Life and my stuff should come up. I got a GoFundMe page. The links are below on the YouTube there and on gun channels. I'm broadcasting on both of those. The link's there for my GoFundMe for my move to the Free State. I'm actually moving the weekend. Well, actually, basically, I'm moving Columbus Day weekend. So that's what we're going for now. So I want to say thank you. I got so far in the panel. I want to say hi to Squib.
Hi. I'm here representing those who think that full auto is no substitute for practice.
Okay. Patriot in the dark. How you doing, buddy? Is he there? You got me. Unmute yourself there, Patriot.
I think I might have to come back in.
Okay, no problem. All right. Night Strike. How you doing?
Shut up, infringed!
Okay, that's what we need. That's what we need. And so far in the chat, we've got Blind Shooter, Rich White, David Bolin. Oh, David Bolin. I didn't add you to my list. Hang on. Because for some reason I've lost your email. Or I didn't have it, one of the two. But if you want to join in, I'll put the link over on the gun channel side where you can, anybody can jump in if they want to be on the panel. So there we go.
Yeah, jump in. I want to hear about the AR-10.
Oh. All right. So, let's see. We got everybody so far. Columbus Day. Oh, yeah, I'm a racist. I know I am. White supremacist, too. You know? Patriots rejoined us. So
I was doing that for the suspense. See, everybody, the anticipation was killing you, wasn't it?
Okay.
I came back.
Now, how I originally was going to open this up to apologize that there was going to be very little on disabilities today because I was going to talk about the elephant in the room. You know, not so much about the Supreme Court Justice himself, but about the Republicans in the last 2.5 weeks need to grow some goddamn balls. Excuse my language if there's some young listeners out there. You might want to send them out of the room because this could get a bit adult here with some of the panel I've had. You know? But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying the women should not be heard. I'm not saying that. But we're bending over backwards for them and the Democratic Party instead of putting the foot down and say, you show up this date. If you don't, tough shit. We're going ahead. But no.
Well, not only that, but you've had this information for how long and you're just now releasing it?
Yeah, but, I mean, that's the Democrats for you. But what I'm saying is, on this delaying it, they delayed it to this date. Then, oh, no, that doesn't suit us. That doesn't suit there. Then they delayed it again. Then they delayed it again. You know, grow some goddamn balls, guys. That's all. I mean, that's what I was going to start with. You know, then, of course, Trump got involved tonight, and he called the latest one, not her, but her lawyer, the lowlife. I mean, how can you? I mean, the people who he's been known to tell lies. So how can you believe him? You know? And okay, I mean, then I heard, well, it's a sworn affidavit. People who have lied on sworn affidavits, you know, and the way this Congress has been going lately, it don't matter what in that law you goddamn break, nothing's happening to you.
Well, if you sit on one side of the aisle, nothing happens to you. But if you sit on the other side, you're out of a job.
You know, but so that's yeah. Sean says we're just wasting time. We all know you will vote along party lines. That's right. No matter what happens, whether the judge is exonerated or the woman proves her case, the Dems are all going to vote no, and all the Republicans are going to vote yes on the committee. When it gets to the Senate, they need to grow some balls. You know what I'm saying?
The Republicans need to say, look, unless you've got a blue dress with a stain on it, we don't want to hear it. But yeah, they're not standing up.
Yeah.
It's not that this sort of thing is just acceptable, or it's just, oh, well, let's just give them a free pass because, you know, they were 17 or something like that. Although you should kind of look at that as under the circumstances. It's how long they've had the information and how long ago this happened and why nothing's been set up till now. It's blatantly obvious that this is, and then the stall tactics and all the other stuff that they're doing. It's so, I mean, they're not even trying to hide the fact that they're trying to derail this.
Oh yeah. They're trying to derail it to after the midterms, hoping that they take the Senate back. Then they're trying to force Trump to pick a more democratic or leans to the left judge.
I really hope that, you know, the same people of America see that they're trying to do stall tactics and they're trying to subvert the process and, you know, decide not to vote these assholes back in. I really hope that they see the writing on the wall.
The people that are voting them in don't care. They're happy about it.
That's right. I mean,
yep.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, you think they just came up with this out of? You know,
I was talking to a couple of people today while I was waiting for my truck.
Hey, quiet you. I'm trying to be optimistic here. You're intensely trying to be pessimistic. Stop that.
What's your numbers right now? Your blood pressure?
Now,
we need a concert report.
The problem is what people today do is because I asked myself, how in the hell can New York keep voting in Schumer? Or how can people in California keep voting in, what's her name, Barbara Walters, whatever her name is, or Feinstein? It's because the voters, they might vote, but they said, I'd rather have them do it than me waste my time with the government. They want to do it, let them do it. And that's why we got what we got. I mean, to me, a career and politician should not go together. I mean, personally, the way I understood it was you're meant to go serve your country as a representative in the House or as a senator for 1 or 2 terms, then you leave and go back to your job. Not sit there for your whole lifetime. You know? That's my view on it anyway. But, hey, David Boland has joined us. How you doing, David?
Hey, I'm good. How are you today? Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, before we went live, I don't know if anybody was in the room heard it. The next discussion was we were talking about, talking about Republicans with balls. And Squibb said we had one, right? As in Ronald Reagan. Night Strike disagrees.
Well, and don't know if anyone knows this, but they think that Ronald Reagan is the greatest president in the world. Well, he's fucking not. I mean, he did some good things, I won't lie, but he signed the Hughes Amendment. He signed it. And because he did...
He signed it, but have you ever looked into the circumstances under which he signed it?
No, he didn't.
He was shot.
No.
That's why he signed it.
No, that's not at all why he signed it.
Well, come on, guys. Why did he sign
Fake news.
He was told that if he signed it into law, that then they could fight it in court and they could get the whole thing reversed and blah, 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 blah. It was added on to another bill. So he went ahead and did that, and then the NRA, and I'm not here to blast the NRA, but the NRA failed to follow through on their promise that says the only way we can fight it is if you sign it into law. But if you don't sign it into law, there's nothing we can do about it. And then they didn't do anything. So if you want to be mad at anybody, be mad at the NRA. And that's not to say that Ronald Reagan was a perfect man or he did everything right. There were some times where he did cave to political pressure. But at that time, we were still deep into the Cold War. We were still worried we were going to get nuked by the Russians and attacked by terrorists. And the economy was in trouble from the 70s. And Carter's policies really made us a weak country. Carter was like Obama. He bent over for all these foreign leaders and stuff like that. Reagan didn't take no crap from the Russians. He didn't take no crap from Gaddafi. And he built up our military. He brought a lot of stuff into play that later on financially benefited the average American. And Reagan he didn't take no crap from anybody. And that's what I mean by having a Republican in there with some cojones. I mean, that's what we need. We need somebody to go, I don't care. and in some ways, Trump does that. I'm not saying Trump's perfect either. But in some ways, Trump he doesn't care what his public opinion is. Well, I shouldn't say that. Because sometimes, yeah, he does. It seems like he does. And there's other times where he's like, nope, my way or the highway. So I'm not saying Trump's another Reagan. He's definitely not. He's not that good. But we need some people in there that are going to stand up and go, no, I don't think so.
Back to what I said, we need them with kahoonies.
Instead of them talking about Russian collusion, they should be talking about the Russians are scared of us, right? Because they were scared of Reagan. That's part of the reason. Part of the reason we won the Cold War was because Reagan didn't back down from anything, and the other reason was he outspent them. He literally outspent them on defense, and they looked at it and they go, "We can't keep up with these guys. Better off it's one of those if you can't beat them, join them things." And that ended the Cold War. But for decades, people were afraid of getting nuked. I remember that. If you want to be scared, be a little kid and stay up late and watch the movie The Day After. That'll scare the crap out of you, especially if you're living right next door to a military base.
I still remember that.
I remember it too. I remember
Well,
it.
you also, were you over in England in the 80s at all, Rick?
I was in England when the wall came down.
Okay, so over in England, they had strings. And that was the one where at the end she gives birth to the mutant baby from the radioactivity,
Yeah.
So, I mean, England even had their own, we're going to get nuked kind of fiction out there. But it was to get the public thinking, hey, look, this is, nuclear war is a serious thing. And we've been on the brink. And Reagan helped end that. Reagan helped end a lot of things. I'm not saying the man's perfect, though. But we need some tough politicians in there.
I mean, I remember back in those days, then you had the anti-nuclear crowd. They wanted England to get rid of the nukes because the Russians would nuke England to get back at America.
Yeah.
That's the way they were thinking.
There's a lot.
If England had no nukes, Russia would leave them alone. They need to grow some balls, too.
Because if you remember, when we bombed Gaddafi after he supported those terrorists that blew up that Pan Am flight over Lockerbie, okay, France said, sorry, your aircraft cannot fly over our territory. So they had to fly around.
I know.
And we lost two aircrew because their aircraft was damaged. And on the way back, they requested permission. Can we just land it in France or something? And they said, no, you got to fly around. And they flew around, and they ended up in the water and killed 2 Americans.
I know. I mean, my English blood, I've never liked the French anyway. Goddamn people. You know, so nothing good about. I mean, the only France is it's a beautiful country, except the French are there. You know, that's the only problem with it. So don't get me going. Now hang on. What did Rich say?
But when we bombed Gaddafi, though, the aircraft came from aircraft carriers and from England.
That's right.
And England took a big risk.
Oh,
But also, the terrorists blew up the plane over England. So you think they kind of had a stake in it? So they're like, yeah, go ahead, take off from our, so it was American bases on there. So go ahead and take off from our country, but just send your planes. We won't send ours. But at least they didn't go, no, sorry, you can't do that.
And I tell you who was, and the best prime minister we had since Winston Churchill was goddamn Maggie Thatcher. You know, she had.
Yes. And I've got some friends that are American citizens now, but they are from England, and they hate her. They absolutely hate her. One's a little bit younger than me, and another my friend's a little bit older than me, so they're old enough to remember the Iron Lady. And I said, "Are you kidding? She was like the yin yang for Ronald Reagan and her. They both took on communism and kept the world free." And they were talking about just all the things that she did. It was just so bad. And it's like, but you don't understand. They kept the world free at a time where we were teetering, and some people just doesn't, Oh
yeah. Now, Rich White said here in the chat earlier on when I was going on about career politicians. Now, I don't know everything, so he could be right. It says the Senate was never meant to be chosen by the people. Then who in the hell was meant to choose the Senate? Answer me that one. Come on, Rich. Give me the answer. I'm waiting for the chat. Come on. Or join me or go over to Gun Channels, get on the link, and join me. Yes, that's right, Patrick. Margaret Thatcher was a damn good leader and a super tough woman. That's right. I remember back in the days when she took on the union, the coal union. I mean, the coal union in England was like the Teamsters over here. Big and powerful, and she goddamn broke them.
If Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan were in power in 2001, I can't say that 9/11 wouldn't have happened, but it wouldn't have taken us that long to get Bin Laden. They would have moved heaven and earth. They would not have taken that long.
Oh, okay.
And they would not apologize for any collateral damage on the way either.
Oh, I know. All right. Rich Wright said state legislatures were to choose the Senate. So what happened? Yeah, but back to Margaret Thatcher. I remember the Falklands War. She went down there and kicked ass.
What planes did they use?
What during the Falklands?
Harriers. Yeah, the Harriers.
Yeah, they used the Sea Harrier, which is equivalent to our AV-8A and AV-8C models. And this is what the British did during the Falklands that I thought was kind of classy for warfare. They flew their strategic bomber, the last strategic bomber they had, the Vulcan bomber, all the way down to the Falklands to drop bombs one time and fly all the way back to England just because they could.
Yeah.
It made absolutely no sense tactically to do it, but they flew them all the way down there, dropped a load of bombs, and went back to England just to go, see, we're still in the game. Now, I mean, that's tough.
Oh, yeah. So, now, guys, if anybody else wants to join in this discussion, feel free. David, Night Strike, and Patriot, join in. Or talk about something totally different. I don't mind.
No, you guys keep going.
The problem the way that I look at it is going back to how to deal with bad politicians. There's obviously the worst case scenario that you take to the streets and arm yourself. I don't know any rational thinking person that's going to do something like that unless it's, really, really the Armageddon's hit. It might not make me the most popular person to say this, but the American public, their attention span is so thin that they don't have the capacity to take government back over. You have to vote out. If you vote for John Smith for your governor and John Smith doesn't keep his promises, you vote him out the very next opportunity, or you put a petition together to get him out of office and have another vote. There's no way that the vast majority of the American public has the capacity to do that. And on top of that, these career politicians have figured out ways to stay career politicians beyond getting voted out.
It's not
So
just their
I
attention
think
span,
that
though. I mean, look at
they're
the
not,
average person. They're lazy and they're cowardly. Okay,
and they're not taught.
they don't want to think for themselves. They don't want to do the research. They don't want to do the work. Hell, it's hard to even get them to show up to vote. And as far as if there was something where we actually did have to revolt and stand up against our government, you're going to have a lot of people that go, "I'm not dying, not me."
well, therein lies the issue is there's a minuscule amount of us, and there's lots and lots of everybody else. So as much as we're passionate about this subject or that subject or this politician or not that politician, we're limited to the amount of votes that we have in like-minded people. Then you've got the people who don't even know who the vice president is and don't
Yep.
even care who the vice president is.
Well, that goes back to school. They haven't been taught that, and
Hey,
Well,
Rick,
yeah, I agree. I agree to that they haven't been taught that.
and you can't expect a kid that's just turned 18 to know this stuff unless the parents push it, or well, you can't rely on the schools to do it.
Well, we were
I
we
mean,
were taught some of this stuff at school. I graduated in 1995, so it was weaning itself out of teaching about civics and American politics as I was leaving school. But people my age, it's not like just kids out there don't know. There's a plenty of grown folks out there who have no clue about anything, and frankly, probably just don't care.
yeah, that's what I was
it
saying
doesn't
earlier.
affect them.
They rather, even if they did vote, they'll keep voting for the same people because they don't want to do it. Let them do it.
Well,
If they want to do it, let them do it.
how many of you think that people, when they go to vote, they just vote for the name that's familiar, either because they voted for this person 8 times in the past, so they know the name, or it's the person who's had the most billboards, signs, and TV commercials, and they recognize that name and they just go, okay, because they don't really even know who all the candidates are, what they stand for, any of that. They just go with familiarity.
Or the union has pushed.
Oh, I got.
That's not
totally,
popular, but
totally different subject, guys. He's going to answer this in the chat. I'm asked if I'm still doing quizzes with giveaways. Yes, I am on Saturdays, and I'm not sure, but I believe these came from unknown user. If they didn't, whoever sent them, thank you. I got some new giveaways. Let me show you real quick. I got baseball hats, about 4 or 5 of these. It goes All-American Patriot, ready to defend. And I got stick to your guns, America. It's your right. I got 4 or 5 of those too. So they're going to be prizes. Plus, I got one of these, and I'm keeping this one. So there you go. I just wanted to answer that guy's question in the thing there. All right, back to our discussion. So yeah.
You were asking me about the whole thing with the Senate being chosen by the state legislatures.
Yeah.
That was in Article 1, Section 3, Clauses 1 and 2 of the Constitution. The people weren't supposed to pick the Senate. The Senate was supposed to be voted on by state legislators who were voted by the people. The Senate was supposed to work for the states, and the House of Representatives were supposed to work for the people. That all changed around 1912 and 1913 when they passed the 17th Amendment, which then made the Senate up to the popular vote of the people of each individual state. And that's when you start seeing the progressive movement and more socialist policies being put into place in the country.
Okay. Oh, man.
And there's something else they don't teach you in school.
Yeah. Oh, I'm reading chat here, guys, and you guys are not only that, and with David there, Patrick, in 2000 when I graduated, Jesus Christ. In 2000, what oh, man. And David, what did you graduate in 95?
Yes, sir.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that's when I came back to the United States to live full time. It was in 95. So I think I was 38 then, I think. You know, God, you guys are making me old.
Mm-hmm. Well, that also leads into the bloating of the government. You know, because I'm not completely enhanced in my political knowledge, but I'm pretty involved in politics. I pay attention to quite a bit of stuff, even small stuff on the local level. And whenever I go into the voting booth, there's still names on the ballot that I don't know. And that's the point. You keep blowing the government up and adding more job, adding more position, add this, I need a secretary for this, I need a department for this, and it becomes unattainable. You can't learn it all. And that's another thing that they plan on is making it so large that you can't keep up with it.
Or they redistrict you.
Exactly.
I mean, there's all kinds of things that end up happening with that. Rich, were you the one that said that somebody was saying on gun channels in a lobby or show or something about don't vote for incumbents anymore?
No, it wasn't me.
Okay. Somebody said it, and I thought, that's probably not a bad idea. I mean, I would look at it as more of a suggestion or a guideline rather than an absolute. But there's something to be said about some of the people that just get voted in again and again and again. In my experience, the politicians that have been on the side of things that I've liked, not just gun stuff, but economic stuff or other things that have benefited my family and myself, or that I think are pro-American, have been in office for short periods of time because either they held a position that had a term limit or they just plain wanted to get out of politics. It was just too much and they bailed. And it seems like the ones that are against everything that I stand for are the ones that are showing up every time again and again. They've been in there for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. It's like, what the heck is going on here? I'm just wondering if anybody that has true conservative American values just gets burned out or just doesn't go for the right position, maybe. I don't know. But, if we keep reelecting the same people, I can understand how if somebody does have a good track record, you want to keep them in there. But
but see, no, I don't agree. Even the ones with good track, because eventually what happens is, are they actually voting for the people or voting what they believe in?
Yeah, true.
That's what I'm afraid when they've been there so long, it's not about the people, it's about them. That's my opinion now. So, Night Strike, you're quiet. Come on. Say
something.
Yeah. So we shot down your Hughes Amendment, huh? I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
I don't understand how people can just accept an infringement just because of the fact that they've never experienced it.
We're all pissed off about.
No.
If that bill
Squibb is fine with it. Squibb says some infringements are okay. And
I never said that, Night Strike.
Yes,
I never said that, Night Strike.
Yes,
no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I said that full auto is no substitute for good practice, is what I said.
And here's the thing. The bill that was the Hughes Amendment was attached to, if that bill hadn't been passed and signed by Reagan, things would have been a hell of a lot worse because you wouldn't even be allowed to have a handgun right now.
Right.
You need to stop and figure out exactly what was going on. Yeah, the Hughes Amendment's bad. The Hughes Amendment should be fought in court, but if it wasn't passed, we'd really be fucked right now.
Yeah, you couldn't. When I went out to Nebraska and stayed with Travis, I brought some of my guns and went to his gun range. That would not be legal if it weren't for FOPA. Now, I know some states don't recognize FOPA, and I don't know why the federal government isn't doing anything about it. But the Hughes Amendment got tossed onto that. It's BS. That's true. But At the end of the day, the fault falls onto the shoulders of the NRA at that time. The people who were in the NRA back then, I don't even think there's any of them still in the NRA today. Maybe, but it falls on their shoulders. Also, what good is having a full auto if you're not alive to use it? Because the whole damn planet's turned into a radioactive mess.
Okay.
I would like the ability to own one. And the fact is,
You can own one. They are absolutely 110% legal to own.
No, I can't own any new full auto.
Yes, you can. Get an SOT. Do that business you wanted to do. Get your FFL and get an SOT, and you can have brand spanking new NFA items.
And not being able to afford is not equal to not being able to own.
Right.
You can own it. You might not be able to afford it, but you could own it.
I am not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying I agree with it. But it isn't. It isn't the same at all. Okay?
Yes, it is.
No, what you do is you go and you work and you save, you borrow, you do whatever it is to get the money to do the things that you like to do, whether that be buy a house, travel, or own a machine gun. And if you don't want to work for it, if you don't want to save for it, if you don't want to use credit to get it, then it obviously isn't that important to you. That's part of the American dream. It's working for the things you want. I am not justifying the Hughes Amendment, but I'm saying it was a wrong deal.
No, but you're justifying the insane amount of prices for said firearms. I'm sorry.
Okay, well then I'll say this. I'll say this, Night Strike.
I'm never spending over $10,000 for any firearm whatsoever, regardless.
Market
Night Strike, you know
the price. We're not saying the price. Market.
Put it on your damn credit card.
Fuck that.
My cousin has his fully automatic license, and so he's got some other license which allows him to own almost any weapon that's out there. And he said it was kind of expensive to get, and it took quite a while to go through all the background checks and stuff like that. The one thing he doesn't care about it because he's been squeaky clean his entire life. There's never even a speck of dust in his house kind of guy. But at any point in time, now, any point in time means exactly that. Any point in time. The federal government can walk into his house anytime they want and search every inch of his house.
And again, that's wrong. They shouldn't be able to do that.
You can't get the license unless you agree to that.
With the tax stamp, they can do all kinds of stuff when you've got an NFA item. Just like if you want to move it out of state, there's just all kinds of BS. There's all kinds of BS with NFA items. But that's a 1934 law, not a 1986 law.
Yeah, and that's
I'm not arguing.
Is the
NFA. Go ahead, Rich, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I was just saying the NFA is another one that needs to go. And
these laws need to go. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
People would get it to their heads, though. If the NFA goes bye-bye, the Hughes Amendment does not go bye-bye. That's a separate thing. People get this idea that the NFA goes bye-bye and we get full autos back. That's not the way it works.
Another thing people fail to understand, I think sometimes, and this is just my experience, I'm not everybody, I'm just from what I understand. A state law is easy to change. State laws come and go. Federal laws, not so much. When the federal government starts laying down, this is how things are going to be, it's very, very difficult to change that. When your state, like my state right now, October 1st, a bunch of new gun laws are going into effect. But just use the 10-round magazine thing. The 10-round magazine limit is a law that we could still fight in Maryland. And we're going to lose it every time, but we can still fight it. When the President of the United States, whoever it might be, and the White House says, everyone must have a 10-round magazine, that's it. You're not getting that law changed. It's just how it is. That's why you have to have a very keen eye on what's happening in your state. And remember, the federal government is not supposed to be telling everybody what to do.
No, they're not.
When we, that's why it's so dangerous about what I call the leftists. They always want the president to do something. The president's got to do something. When the president of the United States does something, it's very, very permanent. You know, ask your governor, ask your alderman, ask your town manager, uh, your local representatives, what can we do? But when the federal government starts signing bills into law, good luck ever getting them changed.
Okay, now Sean Connery is going. If you get a constitutional opinion from the Supreme Court in that direction, all of these laws become void.
Yeah, what he means is if they say the Second Amendment is absolute, deal with it. Yeah, that nullifies everything. And there's some people out there that are afraid to risk that. I'm not. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's jump in there and let's have them make a final call.
But then you'll probably still end up with states that ignore, because you get states that ignore.
That's true. And then you have
every day.
Yeah, and then the federal government doesn't flex its power and go, I'm sorry, you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what you were talking about, like traveling, across state lines with your firearms. Federal law government says you can do it, but New Jersey is a state that doesn't recognize it.
Right.
New York City.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to carry a weapon through JFK or LaGuardia. They find out you're from a state where you're allowed to have more than 10 round magazines. They're going to arrest your ass. It's happened numerous times now.
Oh yeah.
But in the more free states, you can freely pass through if you're on your way somewhere, if you're moving across state lines. And the law even says if your vehicle breaks down, you're cool. If you stay overnight in a hotel, you're cool. If you stop to eat, you're cool. So, I mean, it's a good law. It's a shame that the federal government doesn't put their boot down on the states that don't follow it, and instead, put their boots down on us.
Talking about that, what you just said there, Rhode Island states, yes, you can carry your gun across state lines into Rhode Island, but you can't stop unless you're going to a shooting match, a shooting range, something like that. If you're just coming through Rhode Island for a scenic route up to Massachusetts, you cannot stop in Rhode Island.
Yeah, and see, that violates FOPA, but nobody enforces it. Nobody does anything about that. Now, some people misconstrue FOPA to mean, oh, I can still carry. I can conceal carry across state lines. No, that does not involve conceal. That's a whole separate state-to-state issue.
Yeah.
And for anybody out there who thinks otherwise, look up the law. That means you're transporting it lawfully. That means it's cased, it's locked up, it's separated from the ammo, blah, 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 blah. It's what you would do is if you were going to throw it in the... Well, what you're about to do, Rick.
Yes. I'm hoping. I'm going to carry it. They're going to be locked and the ammo is going to be separate and everything from the guns. And I'm going a longer way around to get across New York State. I'm going through Connecticut on the I-84 and cutting straight across New York. That's the shortest point from Connecticut to Pennsylvania. I have to go across 125 miles of New York State. So I'm hoping to drive at the speed limit, go right across without stopping, and hopefully everything will go according to plan. Because I feel I'll be okay once I get to Pennsylvania. I'll be okay.
Yeah. I know Maryland doesn't recognize any state's carry permit. If you don't have a carry permit from the state of Maryland itself, it's your permit's not valid.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's weird is the magazine capacity. Anywhere you go inside the state of Maryland, you cannot buy as a civilian. They have stores have them, but you have to be a police officer in order to buy the 30-round magazines, we'll say, or 15-round magazines, anything bigger than 10. But you can legally cross out of the state into, say, Pennsylvania or, West Virginia and buy as many as you want, bring them back into the state and legally possess them. You can't buy them in the state, meaning I can't go to any store and buy one, and I can't order it from the internet because no internet company is going to ship a 30-round magazine to Maryland.
Yeah.
But I can legally own them.
See, I mean,
when we get, I've been in the gun shop in Ridgely, West Virginia, and one here in Kaiser, where I live now. And people come in all the time from Maryland buying them larger magazines because they can't buy them in Maryland, but they can buy them here.
Yeah.
And
if
it's legal if you buy it out of state.
If they have them in the gun store here in Maryland, it's clearly labeled law enforcement only. And that goes for anything above 10 rounds. Not, you can't have 11 rounds, you can't have 12 rounds, anything more than 10 in the magazine. Now, I guess they let you get away with the 10 plus 1 because you can technically, the round you put in the chamber is not in the magazine.
Yeah, I was about to ask if they weren't they. I'm trying to limit that to where it was 10 rounds, period, at one point.
Yes, and it caused a lot of the gun manufacturers to really sweat a little bit on whether or not they were going to sell any guns here because, you know, everywhere else you can have a 10-round magazine. So, okay, let's manufacture some 10-round magazines. Now you want us to manufacture a 9-round magazine?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that got New York's, what was it, 7-round magazine limit thrown out, was because of the fact that was, according to the courts, too, what was the wording they used? Too arbitrary. Because nobody makes like a 7-round magazine for a Glock 19 or a Glock 17 or a Smith & Wesson M&P. So the judges who heard that case threw that out for that reason, which is why New York has the 10-round limit, because the 7-round was too arbitrary of a thing where one state can't dictate to all the other states what magazine limits there were. And people were already making 10-round magazines for those weapons because of the Clinton era ban. And they still kept making those, so that's why you got 10-round magazine limits in certain states, because those are widely made by different manufacturers.
Yeah, during the assault weapons ban, you could go to the gun show and buy a 15-round mag cheaper than you could a 10-round mag because they had tons of 15-rounders in stock, tons and tons of them that they built before the law went into effect, and they were still retooling to make 10-round mags. Or their reason that they wanted to charge more for the 10-round mags was because they wanted to recoup the cost of the retooling.
Yeah, and this whole idea that the Clinton assault weapon ban banned owning or buying magazines over 10 rounds is a bunch of nonsense anyway. The bill said that they couldn't sell the magazine with the gun that had more than 10 rounds. You could still
you could do that. No, you could sell it with the gun. It had to be made before April of '94.
Yeah, I'm talking about new made ones that were made after.
Yeah, you could have a brand new gun made in 1998 and put a pre-94 mag in the box with it, and it was 100% legal.
Well, you could still buy them. You could still buy brand new brand new manufactured magazines that were the 15-round magazines.
No, they had to be made before.
The magazine manufacturer itself wasn't banned. It was just the fact that it couldn't be sold with the firearm itself. That's the part that was banned. You could still get Glock 19 mags or 15 rounds that were brand new manufactured. That's why the bill made no sense whatsoever, even if they were trying to limit all that, because you could still buy aftermarket magazines that were brand new manufactured, that were still your regular capacity for that firearm.
For a short time.
Certain states went and made it to where you couldn't. Maryland, I don't know if Maryland did it, but New York went and did it. And there were other states that made it to where that applied to any new magazine as well. But here you could buy your 15-round magazine for a Glock 19 if you had one.
All right. Oh, Sean said here, he's right. I shouldn't detail my route I'm doing. But, I mean, you're not going to tell me there's a psycho cop in New York that might do something, because I'm traveling across New York State.
If there is, does he have a YouTube channel, and can we see the dash cam footage of it?
Yeah, that's right. That's what we're going to need. So, but back to what people were saying, like only sort of like police officers or somebody like like that can buy certain things. And a good example, right here in Rhode Island, her executive order it's being taken to court. The governor said, because right now, as it stands, as a concealed carry holder, I can carry on the school grounds. It's for the amount of rules in this state. That's one rule that, but of course, somebody found out about it, and of course, the governor's freaking out. So she done a thing to ban that. But police officers are the only ones allowed to carry on school grounds. Well, my local town here, I've seen our police shoot. I'm better than they are. So what makes them so special that they're allowed? I'd be more scared of them pulling out a gun trying to shoot somebody than me pulling out a gun.
Because, Rick, they need it more than you.
They need what?
Just like full auto is no replacement for practice. Capacity is no replacement for practice. They need it more than you because you might be able to get shots on target better than them.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I'd rather have a concealed carry holder defend the school than a policeman, especially the ones in this town. And I don't care if they're listening to me either. You know?
Can I ask something real quick?
Cops in this town.
Yeah, go on.
Talking about concealed carry holders versus legal carry holders. The local gun range that I go to has just recently stripped the range officers of their carry weapons. Can I, if I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, or if I'm out of place, just let me know. But can I ask the panel's opinion on if anybody goes to now it's a county-run range, so that's why they said they took the firearms away from the range safety officers, because something in the law says that they can't have concealed carry or open carry on county property. But it's a gun range, and at our range we have, just like any other range, I would imagine, we have, when the line is cold, you cannot touch your firearm. It has to be empty, it has to be put away. And at the very beginning, before the line goes hot for the first time, you can't even take your firearms out of the cases. They have to be locked in your cases and empty and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever heard of a range taking the firearms away from the range safety officers?
No, I haven't.
Yes.
And it's a public range. It's not a private range. It's a county-run public range.
Government-run range. Yep.
Well, the reason that I bring it up is this Sunday, the line doesn't officially go hot till obviously the range officer says, but on paperwork it's 10 o'clock. 9:30 on the pistol side, somebody started firing shots. Nobody down there but the person firing the shots was armed. It seems like a real safety hazard to me, and I didn't know if it was just something that, Great Maryland was doing again, or if anybody else has experienced anything like that.
No, I've never seen
it. At the state DNR ranges here, the DNR officers that are the range safety officers, these are state employees on state property, cannot be armed unless they wear body armor. It's stupid. It is absolutely stupid. I don't like it. However, I had them explain to me why, and none of it has to do with whether they agree with it, I agree with it, or whatever. It's just, if you want to shoot at the state ranges, this is what you have to put up with. So the reason being is because every now and then you're going to have a shooter out there who wants to break the rules, or you're going to have a new shooter who doesn't know what they're doing, and they're being unsafe. And the range safety officer has to tell them, sir, you have to put that away, or sir, you can't step across the line, or sir, whatever it is. I have not seen our range safety officers raise their voice until they get to about the 15th warning, and I'm not kidding either. And then at that point, they're yelling at everybody. I have seen these guys keep a level head. Sorry about the forklift. They only come back here when I'm on air. I have seen these guys keep a level head, but I would like to see them open carrying a firearm at the range. That being said, though, there are so many other people there that go there on a regular basis that would back these guys up if one of these noobs or one of these guys who just comes down there and doesn't give a damn about the rules decided to do something threatening. He's going to have 50 guns pointed at him. The range safety officer will be protected. I remember one day a guy was getting belligerent with the range safety officer and trying to show off in front of his buddies, and he had to keep warning him about the rules he was breaking, and he explained why these rules are in place, and it had nothing to do with the range safety officer's ego. These were all rational explanations why we had these safety rules. And when everybody left, that guy was taking his good old sweet time packing up his stuff. And the range safety officer had to stay until this guy left. And he decided he was going to start in on a range safety officer because there was nobody there now to protect him. Well, me and my wife stayed in the parking lot, and we were ready to run up there and do whatever we had to do to protect that man because this was BS. We ended up waiting until this person left, and then we went up and just checked with the range safety officer to make sure he was all right and whatnot, and nothing ended up happening. But there is a risk, and I don't agree with the fact that they can't be armed, but it's a state thing. And, you know, for those who say, well, just go somewhere else, yeah, there's plenty of private ranges to go at, and they've got their own set of rules too. But it's unfortunate, but those who go there, we've got the RSO's back.
There you go. Has it happened to anybody else? No, it hadn't happened to me here. You know?
The state of Michigan seems to think that if you have somebody who is disobeying the safety rules and the range safety officer has to warn them multiple times, that at a certain point they're going to get belligerent and they're less likely to point a gun at the range safety officer if they don't see the range safety officer as a threat. If he's in shorts and a polo shirt with sunglasses and earmuffs, that's not as threatening as if he's got a sidearm strapped to his hip out in plain view. I don't agree with that, but that's just, you know, I could always go somewhere else and protest, I suppose.
Are they allowed to carry in a gun store?
What do you mean?
I mean, like the gun store I go to, the people behind the counter carry open.
Oh, yeah, I see that at gun stores a lot.
Okay, I wasn't sure if there were, you know, your state was doing something stupid like that, saying you can't carry in a gun store, you know?
Well, a gun store has nothing to do with the Department of Natural Resources range. One's a private business, the other one's paid for with a...
You know?
Oh.
No. Now, here at the gun range I used to go to, the indoor one, I could carry concealed at the range, but I had to tell the safety officer that I had a concealed weapon on me. You know, that was one of their rules. But you couldn't draw from your holster at that range. But the gun club I belong to now, which, you know, that I got to leave, you can draw from your holster. You can do all. It's outdoor range. You can do everything. You know, which I think is great. So anyway,
yeah, here it's the opposite thing. They're not allowed to tell you can't carry. On the only places they can tell you can't carry is like the state house grounds, courthouses, and schools by state law. That's it. Anywhere else, any other state-owned or municipal-owned property, like parks, ranges, anything like that, you can carry all you want.
Yeah. Now, here's a question for you. I mean, the post office, because it's through the United States Postal Service, even though they're not federal employees anymore. Right? So, but the building's still owned by the U.S. government. So you can't carry in a post office, which I think is asinine personally myself. But,
yeah, but that's federal law. I specifically stated state law.
Yeah. What I'm saying is,
yeah, and I know.
I mean, the post office, I mean, the building is federal, but they're not federal anymore. They haven't been federal employees for the last 30 or 40 years. You know? So, I mean, I just find it stupid. And if you're carrying concealed, how in the hell do you know you're carrying?
Yeah, when you carry on a national park, open or concealed, it's based on the state law there, even though it's federal property. So I don't know why they wouldn't do that at a post office too. They go, well, this is federal property. However, if your state says you can conceal carry, then blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah. It's strange. I got to look up all the new laws for Indiana for when I get there.
I think you'll be pretty happy with it.
Yeah, but here's a question for you guys.
Since I moved to West Virginia, I have not seen a sign that says that you can't carry in the post office on any of the post offices.
Oh,
yeah, it's there. It's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that they put on a bulletin board with the FBI wanted posters and stuff.
No,
it's really inconspicuous.
When you look at any of that, the post offices around here, I have never seen anything saying you can't carry in that post office.
Yeah, but they're federal buildings.
Yeah, I know, but it's not. I'm saying I haven't seen it. I haven't actually seen it posted that you couldn't.
Look harder. They don't put it in a conspicuous spot. They literally do not put it by the front door in bright letters that sticks out. They put it somewhere where it's like off to the side, like, you know how you go into some places and they've got their awards and it's from like 2 decades ago and they're, you know, kind of faded and covered in dust and nobody pays attention to it because it says 1976. Okay, that's where you're going to find the sign that says you can't carry a gun in here. That's how bad they are about placement. It's not going to grab your attention. You're going to be like, what is that? You know. So it's bad the way they do it, and then they expect you to follow the law.
I don't think anybody around here would
not seeing the sign doesn't stop you from getting in trouble. It's not
now, don't start giving us excuses.
Yeah.
No, I said it's not an excuse.
Here's my question for you.
Uh-oh.
Since I'm moving out of Rhode Island and I'm moving to Indiana, so my home of residence is not going to be Rhode Island anymore until I get my because I think everybody knows I've got 7. I got 6 non-resident permits and 1 resident permit. Now, are my non-resident still good until I get the address changed?
You're gonna have to have roll call. Yeah.
Yeah, that depends on the state. Some states will recognize out-of-state permits for their residents. Some states don't. But that you gotta have to check your local laws. But like Squib said, roll call would be the one to ask. He will probably know.
Yeah. Sean says I should stitch all my permits together and make a tie out of them. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna call them all up or write to them. I go online and find out how to change change of state or change of address on my permits because I'm going to keep them all if I can. So,
I think in Michigan you've got to be a resident for 6 months.
What?
I think in Michigan you got to be a resident for 6 months before you can apply. So I don't know if Indiana does it similar.
Yeah, but during that 6 months, are my other permits still good? Or do
that's another. If they recognize your Rhode Island one, if you've got reciprocity, I would imagine your Rhode Island one would be good. But I would still consult with somebody first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping they do recognize Rhode Island in Indiana, but if I'm not a resident of Rhode Island anymore, you know what I'm saying? That's what. Or do I have to go around naked until I get an Indiana license? You know. That's something I got to look into. You know. So it's just a question I had. I wondered if anybody knew. So anyway, we're about out of time, guys. It's been a great discussion. It really has. And before we go, let's see if there's any plugs. Let's start with Squib.
No, I'm good, man.
You're good. All right, Rich, want to plug anything?
Yeah, I just got this week unloaded Sunday nights at 8 Eastern over on the Unloaded Media channel.
Okay. Great. Patriot.
Well, I finally got my connection set, and now the show's almost over. So, isn't that great?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got something I'm going to be dropping here shortly. I'm doing a kind of a call to action, not a gift. It's going to be kind of a giveaway, but I could care less about extra subs or anything. But it should be interesting. So just keep an eye out for it.
Okay, will do. David.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. It's always a good time, good conversation, and everybody check out Rick's Life this Saturday at 3 Eastern.
Thank you. Where did Night Strike go? I think he's mad at us.
Probably just me. I don't look, man. I don't mean nothing by it. I'm not trying to intentionally tick somebody off, but I'm just saying that look at everything and just. I've had people bring stuff to me that I wasn't aware of, or a different perspective on the same thing, and I'm still thinking about some stuff from a show I did last night that's really been weighing on my mind. A different set of opinion, and there are things that we're all going to agree on, and there's things we're not. But at the end of the day, I think we can all still get together for a common cause.
No,
and you really need to look at the whole broader picture, not just the narrow Okay, we don't have full autos. Yeah, but if that doesn't get passed, we don't have handguns. We don't have modern sporting rifles. We don't have all this because the 1968 Gun Control Act was going to fuck everything up. That's why they went in and they passed the other bill that the Democrats went and put that on. Yeah, we'll vote for it if you put this on too. Otherwise, it wasn't going to pass, and we'd have been worse off now than what we would have been if it wouldn't have passed.
And you'd be writing everything with those weird looking ends.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
All right, gentlemen. I want to say to the people out there in the chats, thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back on Saturday. Now, this will be my last Saturday until after I'm moved, because the following Saturday, hopefully, I'm on the road. So, so this Saturday, but I'll mention it again on Saturday. Hopefully, I'll do one more Wednesday before I go. So I will see you all Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. So see you all then. Thanks, guys.